Hi, everyone, and welcome to Alma Live. I am so excited that you're with us today. These are real and raw conversations where we're talking about emotional resilience. What's the definition that you have? How did you learn it? And I'm so excited to have Jamie Feit with us today. Welcome, Jamie.
Hi, Adriana. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Jamie is an author, dietitian, and nutritionist. And Jamie, I would love if you would take a minute or two to tell us in your own words who you are and what you're up to in the world.
Okay. Jamie, I am a nutritionist for over 20 years. I live in New York. I have 4 girl teenagers, a husband, and a huge dog that I take care of in addition to my business. And I, about a year and a half ago, left my work to build an online nutrition practice to give me more flexibility with my kids and my family.
Now, we were talking about your kids before we went live, and I loved the way you described it because, this idea of being a mother and running a business and being a wife and taking care of the home, right? It all sounds like an amazing dream, right? That what does it really look like behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, before this crazy pandemic and quarantine, I would get up and get everybody ready for school, get all their lunches, everything ready. I would pack all my work into the middle of the day and stop everything at 3:00 in time to get my little one off the bus and then do leftover work at night. Since this quarantine, it's a whole nother ball of wax. I wake up early. I try and get my day organized, my mindset, practice everything. And then I have to find corners, lock myself on the screened-in porch where it's freezing cold, or go in my car or somewhere to have 15 minutes to do my live videos without anybody interrupting me.
Yeah. I mean, when we were getting ready for this, you were like, okay, this is the room I can lock myself into, right? And I'm doing the same thing. That door is locked. It was so funny, it's like,
and nobody's awake yet.
Yeah, nobody's awake yet. Exactly. And I feel like you're lucky there because, my crew wakes up at 5:47 every day, right? But we all have our own little rhythms.
Teenagers like to sleep.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that. Yes.
But when they wake up, the first thing they say is, "What's for lunch?"
Yeah. I love it. And Jamie's a contributor in Empire Moms, which is actually releasing tomorrow in the US, where we're launching in about 12 hours in Australia. And yeah, I want to talk to you about what your definition of emotional resilience is before I have you talk about how you learned it. But from your point of view, being a mother, being an entrepreneur, what's your definition of this?
I think the best definition of emotional resilience for me is that I am able to be flexible and maintain my sanity with everybody pulling at me in a different direction, and trying to prioritize who needs that attention first and how I can get to everybody's attention in the priority of what is dire and then what can be done later. And really then making time to take time for myself so that I'm able to deal with all the kids. So there are 2 things that I do every day, which are non-negotiable for my emotional resilience, that I have mindset practice in the morning and I exercise. And that I don't skip them. No matter what meeting I have, no matter what I do, I have to do those 2 things in the day for myself to be emotionally available for all the pulls on me.
Okay, if you don't mind, because I know that we have some people watching, I would love for you to give us a little bit more of what that mindset practice looks like. And if you're watching, if you would drop in the comments what your non-negotiables are at the beginning of every day.
Okay, so I have a little journal that I write in things that I believe to be true, things that I believe to be true about me, about my business, about my health, about my family. Then I do 5 to 10 minutes of quiet time and stillness just to listen and collect all my thoughts for the day. And then I do a little bit of meditation. And then I finish it off with, I love Gabby Bernstein's miracle, whatever they're called, recordings. And I listen to one and then I put it all away. I make breakfast, I get everyone ready, and then after everybody's set, I go exercise.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I would love for you to tell a story of when, a certain period of your life when you really had to learn emotional resilience, and what did that look like for you?
Okay, so I have 4 girls. My youngest one is now 11, and about 7 years ago, maybe, she started having these strange medical symptoms that nobody knew what they were. I mean, I'm talking like she was tiny. She was on the low end of the growth curve. She was growing along her growth curve, but never above onto the regular curve. She was on her own curve below the growth curve. And, the doctors were like, well, she's small. She has a heart murmur that she was born with. She's okay, blah, blah, blah. But she would wake up in the middle of the night screaming like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, that her hands and feet were tingling, and she wouldn't sleep. So then we wouldn't sleep, and then she wouldn't sleep. And then she was a disaster in school because she wasn't sleeping. And if I tell you how many doctors I went to, I must have gone to 12 doctors, and they were like, well, it's low tone. Maybe she's not well hydrated. It's a growth spurt. I went to 3 neurologists, a developmental pediatrician. I went to her cardiologist. Is her heart worse? Like maybe her blood's not. They thought I was crazy. They really thought I was crazy. I could not get better. Finally, I had to take her to a psychiatrist, put her on sleeping medicine just so she could sleep through the night so she could function in school. During this time, after 3 years of this going on, my older daughter, who was 15 at the time, maybe, was not growing enough. So I took her to a new endocrinologist. The endocrinologist took like an entire history, and she said to me, okay, I'm going to have you come back in 2 weeks to go over her bone scan and her blood work. But when you come in 2 weeks, I want you to bring your little one with you. I want to take a look at her. And I said, okay, why? She's like, just something you said. I just want to see her. I'm like, okay. So I came in 2 weeks. I brought my older one. I took the little one. And the doctor said to my older one, go get your blood drawn, go get your blood pressure, your temperature, whatever. And I'm going to talk to your mother. I'll be right back. She took one look at my daughter, and she said, walked me across the hall and said, I think your daughter has celiac disease. Meet Dr. So-and-so. He's going to set you up for a scope. And I was like, what? Like, I'm a nutritionist for like over 20 years. I'm like, what do you mean she has celiac? She doesn't have a stomach upset. She doesn't have bloating. She doesn't have like any of the signs of celiac disease. I couldn't even believe it. They did the scope, and I don't know what you know about the intestines or anybody, but like the way they determine celiac disease, if you have the antibodies in your blood, then you do a scope to see what your intestines look like. And the way that you digest food is by these little hairs on the outside of your intestines. And that's how you digest food. Hers hairs along her intestines were completely flat. So she was not absorbing any nutrients for 3.5 years. Wow. And we had to deal with it. Now, as a nutritionist, it was not a problem for me to make gluten-free food. I know full well how to make gluten-free food. The problem was we're modern Orthodox religious Jews, where we're in a religion that revolves around food. Every Friday at sundown to every Saturday at sundown is a Shabbat holiday that revolves around 4 meals. And it's usually with friends and family, and going to kiddushes where there's food at the synagogue, and going to other people's houses for meals. So and then during the year, there are like 5 holidays that those time periods are like 3-4 days at a time. So everything that we do revolves around food, and everything that we do, she can't eat. So I decided, because every birthday party she goes to, every school lunch, every restaurant, every holiday we go to, that she can't eat anything unless I bring it. I felt my emotional resistance, and how I learned this was the best way to support her was to make my house gluten-free, because I really felt strongly that there has to be one place that she could eat safely and not have to worry that she was going to get sick. So my house is gluten-free. I have a drawer for my other kids and my husband. So like if I make gluten-free pizza, they can heat up regular pizza or like regular toast or whatever, but everything I cook for the family is gluten-free, and I don't bake anything that isn't gluten-free because I don't want the cross-contamination, and they have a separate counter with a separate toaster for their stuff, but basically she can eat everything because I feel strongly like for her to be supported, she really has to be safe in one aspect of her life. So I think that was like the biggest way for me to see emotional resistance, because that was my career. I mean, I did it forever and I had no idea. Like I had no idea she had celiac disease.
Wow. Well, I think it just goes to show too that sometimes when it's too close to us, right? If you were looking at someone else's child, it might have been a different story. And
right.
I'm just so happy that you got the answer.
Yeah.
So yeah. So now you've taken that, and that has really inspired your business. Yes.
Yes. So when this happened, once I changed the kitchen over, once she got on the road to recovery, she started growing. She started getting taller, eating more. I decided that with my 20 years of experience, why should I be helping other random people that come into the office? I need to help other mothers that have experiences like this, because if you're not a nutritionist and you find out your kid has a nut allergy or a gluten allergy or a dairy allergy, and you don't know how to prepare alternative foods for that, that is really stressful and really hard. I mean, it wasn't as hard for me because I'm trained in that and I have years and years of experience for it. But for a regular mother who's working full time, who has no training or experience, that is like a huge motivation for them to learn how to do that. So I felt strongly, if I'm going to do it for my kid, rather than, a doctor referring a patient to me, I really just felt that I had to be available for other mothers that have this experience to help them learn how to manage that nutrition problem that they have, manage it while they're cooking food for their kids, but also manage it in a way that they're cooking healthy food for their kids, because you don't want your husband, your spouse, your other kids to eat unhealthy. And you want your family to still have positive relationships around food, because if you don't eat healthy food and have positive relationships around food, when you grow up, then you don't have positive relationships around food. And that's what leads to obesity and eating disorders and things like that. So it's very important when the kids are young, when you're cooking, even if you have something like this, that you still, cook healthy things, encourage the kids to eat healthy foods, even if they don't like it, give it to them anyway, and make it fun and exciting and taste good so that they grow up eating healthy foods.
I love that. And I'm sitting here like, yes, because I was raised by a mother who had the same sort of philosophy. And it is that our relationship with food, our memories around food, the emotions that we associate with food are incredibly powerful. And they often stay with us for life. I've seen that adults who are trying to shift that, what was established in childhood, it's no joke. So I've popped your website up for anyone who wants to find out more about Jamie. Her website is jamiefeitnutrition.com. And Jamie, I know that you've written a book. I would love if you would talk a bit about this book and who it's good for.
Okay, so I do Facebook Live videos every day on my business page. And one day I got a random call from a publisher who said, we'd like to have you write this book. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, we have a company that we find a medical problem and we find health professionals that live with that problem to write the book. So they picked me because I say on my live all the time, look at this healthy gluten-free recipe we're making, or look what we're doing today. And I'm always in my kitchen showing how to cook healthy gluten-free food. So the book is a guideline for anybody that has celiac disease, anybody that's gluten insensitive, or anybody that has a gluten allergy. So even though it's celiac, it's the recipes are good for celiac, but if you are gluten insensitive, which is someone who just doesn't have the intestine damage but still gets sick from gluten, you can still use the book. What it is, it goes through 3 chapters about gluten, where you find it, how to get it out, gluten-proof your home, how to kitchen safe your kitchen, how to discover it when you're eating out, what to do when you travel, how to discover if you have celiac disease. Then it's a 2-week meal plan for anybody who wants to go gluten-free for 2 weeks, like if you're gluten insensitive, and just try it and see if you feel better. And then there are 65 recipes in the back of the book. Some of the recipes are in the meal plan, but it's also 65 recipes for basics, like how to make pizza dough, how to make a bread, a pie crust, a roll, and then all different foods, how to make a whole array of recipes if you have to be gluten-free. And it tells you what ingredients you need to keep in your kitchen. And it's really a great little book. It's on Amazon.
Yeah, that is amazing, because I can only imagine that there are some staples that you have to get a new recipe for and learn. So you've got it all in one spot.
One spot, right.
So tell me what you are excited about with Empire Moms coming out, and what are you sharing in your chapter?
Okay, so what I shared in my chapter in Empire Moms is how I became a nutritionist, which is a very interesting story, because I did not start out as a nutritionist. I started out as a business major in college, and I was working. I hated it. I never liked it. But when I dove deep into writing the chapter, I realized that food revolved around my family like clockwork. Like, my parents were like strict about what time breakfast is and what time lunch is and what time dinner is. But my father, who was overweight, my mother always gave me a plate of vegetables or fruit, like with happy faces, or in like a landscape with animals. Whatever she did, she made it with the fruits and the vegetables. And I never had to finish my food as long as I tasted it. And I always, even if I didn't taste the vegetables, she'd still make those pretty plates with them anyway. And when I went to read the chapter or write the chapter, I realized that like my whole real life was around food. But my mother instilled in me a healthy attitude around food, even though my father was overweight. Like, she didn't make me finish my food. She always gave me fruits and vegetables. She exposed me to it, and I never had to finish. I mean, even if I took one bite and then wanted a cookie, she was like, that's okay. Like, she gave me such a positive relationship with food that I guess I took it with me. And then one day I was listening in a lecture. My mother's Y actually had like a health day, and she asked me to come help her. And one of the lectures was this nutritionist, and she was talking. And as she was talking, I said, I have to do that. I have to do that. So I went back to school, and I was a business major. So I had none of the prerequisites or anything. I went back to school. I took all the science classes. I took everything. I went to graduate school. I got my master's in nutrition, and that's where I am today. So that my chapter is about that. Like, in my life, how food was always important and how it brought me to nutrition, and then my daughter, and how I've melded it all together to build the practice that I have today.
That's beautiful. And wow, I mean, aren't moms so amazing? They influence so much for us. I mean, my mom inspired this book because I was raised in her health food store. So I'm excited for everyone to read your chapter.
Thank you.
And I want to finish off with a quote that you had given me when we had first set this up. And I love it. You know, when you have a dream, stick with it no matter how bumpy the road is. Jamie, I appreciate you being here today. Is there any final words that you would like to leave with our audience?
Just that I am here. You should follow my page, follow my website. And my whole goal in life now is to support other mothers that have these issues with their kids, because it doesn't have to be hard. And it doesn't have to taste bad. You can make healthy food no matter what nutrition problem you have. You can make healthy food that tastes good, that doesn't spend hours in the kitchen, that your whole family will like.
I love it. Thank you so much, Jamie. And I'll be celebrating with you as Empire Moms comes out.
Thank you so much, Adriana.
Thank you for joining us today, everyone. If you would like a free guest pass to Networking Influencers, my weekly networking group, you can pick it up in the description. And also, if you would like to jumpstart your book, I have a freebie there for you as well. Be sure to check out Jamie's website and pick up your copy of her book. All right, until next time, have a wonderful day.